Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today is a really special one. We are talking about some of my favorite art books. I love books. Books are one of my favorite things in the world. Books and gardens and watercolor art. But you can see here that some of these books are not all art books, so I will show you art books today, but I'm just kind of doing a little intro with a few other books because there are cookbooks. I especially love Tessa Kiros's cookbooks and interior design books and just all kinds of books. I think books are one of the most magical things that we have. They kind of offer you a corridor into another place, another time. They give you information, but they also give you entertainment and companionship. I think one of the kind of interesting things about books is that someone wrote the book. Like the author, was in their surroundings, in their situation, and now it might be in the same time period, like they might be alive now but in a different country, or they might have written it sitting in a parlor or somewhere hundreds of years ago, but you are able to have that kind of connection with them because they wrote it for you to read, not necessarily knowing who you are, but just that amazing kind of way that they've written this book, and then you can kind of pick it up in your lounge room and you can read it. So I'm going to show you 8 of my favorite art books today, but I also have quite a few other ones that are really gorgeous. Like this one here deserves its own video. This is a really thick one. There are quite a lot of sketches in here that I hadn't seen before, so I want to do this kind of as a highlighted video, and I'm thinking that for December, like I always want to do an advent calendar of videos, but I think that maybe this year I'll do books because it's just quite a nice thing to share, and then hopefully I can actually get that done. So, but you can see, like, even in these cookbooks, I am interested in like the way where the text is and the way they put in the page numbers in, and there's all kinds of different interesting creative things in a lot of variety of different books and different genres. It does not have to be specifically art books for me. Like I'll find inspiration in quite a lot of different books. Some of these we have gone through in other videos. Like I started sharing books maybe halfway through the year, and so I won't kind of go through some of those here today. I'm just kind of trying to pick out really my favorite ones that when I pick them up, they are very, very inspiring. I love the cover on this one. This was the first watercolor book that I saw the cover of, and I just absolutely loved it. This was before I knew anything about watercolor. This one as well I really love, and again this deserves its own spotlight. So I'll probably share some of these in December as well. Like, I really love the cover of this May I Come In book, the kind of haphazard text and then this ornate interior behind it. So yeah, very striking and interesting. And again, like the color combinations is one thing that you can find in interiors, is just even a color combination for a different artwork that you're thinking about, or maybe adding some color notes. So when you look at a room, they'll often have like cushions or curtains that are just different interesting colors they're bringing in. And yeah, that's something that I often find I enjoy. So the first book that we're going to look at today, I absolutely love this book. So this is a beautiful, beautiful collection of his work. And I'm not going to say the name because I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but there are like watercolors in here, as well as, and you can see, like, I think that could be ink with watercolor and oils. And one of the things that's really interesting about this to me is I've been to Boston, I've been to New York, I live quite close to New York, and I'm looking at the same streets that he painted. You know, they were contemporary in his time, and they're, obviously historical to us now, but it's very interesting to see what he saw then and to kind of think about how things are different or how they're the same. And I also I really, really love the first maybe 4 books that I show you are different kind of Impressionism ones. I think that art books and the ones that you really love are probably quite subjective, and I am really drawn to Impressionism. I love the way you can see like the brush strokes and the beautiful way of the movement through the painting. So he was always trying to show the beauty of America and just people. He said in the book, it says, "There is nothing so interesting to me as people. I am never tired of observing them in everyday life as they hurry through the streets on business or saunter down the promenade on pleasure." And then, let's see, "Humanity in motion is a continual study to me." So I love that. And I mean, these were done in the 1880s and 1890s. And you can see the life kind of still ebbing and flowing in that time, and the same like the seascapes and the street lamps, and yeah, just really, really lovely and really interesting that we kind of have this little we can look into the day-to-day, how it was then, over 100 years ago. So yeah. One of the other things I find really inspiring about a lot of these first books and the painters in them is that, I mean, they didn't have photo references. They were drawing this either en plein air from real life, like standing there watching these people and painting these scenes, or just from things that they had observed and then later in their studio. But look at, I love the light there on the right, like the whole, it's so beautiful. But we have so many resources at our fingertips of unsplash.com or pexels.com, where we can go and find images, or we can take photos on our phones, or but I've actually been trying to work on plein air painting this year, and it's quite difficult. Like, it's quite a whole another kind of beast to figure out and to just try and kind of wrap your head around. So this is so inspiring for that reason as well. I really love what they've done. So this next book, this is number 2. This is The Impressionists in Winter, and I think this was the first book that I started showing. I really love this one. I'm just going to do a quick flip because you may have seen it in a previous video, but this is so inspiring. And again, a very difficult subject to capture, especially like in watercolor. You are working kind of from the white or the light of the paper back up to the dark, and so they're painting snow. I mean, you can use gouache as well for the white, but it's just very interesting to kind of look at this subject. And this was a group of several painters, and they were all kind of doing these winter, like plein air snow paintings. So yeah, and I love the ones with, like you can see there's barely any and I love the ones with people, and then also the ones with like there's barely any value contrast, there's barely any change, but they're just so lovely. So this is the third book, The Impressionist and the City, and I'm going to read you a few excerpts from the book. This is really interesting. So this is again around the same time period, 1890 to 1900s. So during the last 8 years of his life, Camille Pissarro undertook a monumental task as daring as it was novel. Whereas previously he had drawn almost all his material from rural life, so he used to paint like villages, small villages and things like that. He now chose to paint over 300 canvases of urban subjects made in Paris. He seems also to have selected subjects to form 11 coherent series. So within the last 10 years of his painting career, he sort of transformed and did like all these cityscapes. Hold on. Let's see. So basically explains that he was the preeminent painter for rural life, whereas a lot of the other painters would do urban or suburban things. He would do peasants or rural workers. And concentrate on the traditional villages. And then, yeah, the last 10 years he did this. But then here it says, he had glorified our harbour, its movement and energy through the alchemy of colours. Through a peculiar coincidence, he was coming to the end of his life at a time when that which moved him and caught his interest in our maritime architecture was also about to disappear. The bastions, the wave breakers, the jetties, which were already at the mercy of explosive and pickaxes of the demolishers. And then it's interesting as well, because this book I got secondhand. A lot of these I got secondhand. And yeah, there's little notes through it of the artist who had this book prior to me, and like explaining like that he's painted the same thing you know, many times, or that this artist has painted some of the same things. So yeah, it's really interesting. But so what it says is he picked a room in a hotel where he could look out of he could sort of go out on the balcony and look over the park and the jetty, and also maybe not a park, maybe just a jetty. But then he would go for walks in the park, and they said he was a really diligent worker. So he'd get up at 5 and he would you know, start to organize everything that he needed to do. He loved to scratch off he was very meticulous in like scratching off the old colours and squeezing out the rainbow colours neat and pure from his pewter tubes, together of course with the silver white, which is light. His method was unwavering. He always started a painting by searching out for a harmony between the sky on one hand and the earth and water on the other. Only then would he care for the details. He himself used to say so. I can only see patches when I start off a painting. The first thing I strive to catch is its harmonic form, l'accord. Between the sky and the ground and the water there is necessarily a link. It can only be a set of harmonies, and this is the ultimate hardship with painting. What I find of less and less interest through my art is the material side of painting, the lines. The great problem is to resolve is to bring everything, including the tiniest details of the picture, within the harmony of the whole. So I think that's really interesting to kind of get this insight into his process and how he's kind of mapping out this spatial, like the form of the picture, the sky, the ground, compositionally, how that all works together. And then he's adding in and I suppose that sort of the colors would come with that. And then he's mapping in like the details spatially as well. Like you can see like the people in this one, there's less people here, and the trees are at a different stage of the season. So it's very, very beautiful. The different way the light is catching this same scene. I mean, he's painting the same thing quite a few times, and each time you get a feeling like you've been there with him on a different day. I also really love in books when they give you kind of the whole overview of the picture, and then they will give you a close-up like this of just a part of the picture to help you kind of see how the paint is laying on the surface of the canvas or the paper. It's really beautiful. So the fourth book is called Impressionists by the Sea, and I've shown another book on the channel, I think Impressionists on the Water, but I think I like this one a little bit better. The beautiful images inside are just really stunning of the sea. I love the lilacs and the aquas and just the colouring. I really, really love it in this book. But this whole book is kind of about how the coastline of France was a kind of fishing maritime, and then it went to being like a holiday destination. And you can see like all these very fashionably dressed people and very leisurely, which was kind of the opposite of what it was. So in the preface it says, during the 19th century the northern coast of France was transformed. As at its start, the beaches were the preserve of the local people who sought to make a living from them, from the fish and seafood they could gather. But by the end of the century, the holidaymaker had taken over the coast of northern France. At least in the summer, the beaches had become the summer boulevard of Paris. So I thought this was really beautiful. This is about Isabey, and he is featured in the book. they're saying he was the most celebrated marine painter in France in these kind of years around 1860. But it says, so someone wrote about him in 1855. In his method of applying colour, he shows a dazzling brio, an exciting energy, a remarkable spirit. He burns the canvas. His rapid and nervous touch gives every object its proper value while adding a sparkle to it, which I thought was really nice. So this is our fifth book. It's called The Artist's Garden, and there's also a new book called The Writer's Garden, which I'll show you in another video. So it's a similar format, the writers and the gardens that inspired them, but this one's about artists and the gardens that inspired them, and you can see throughout this real connection. Like, you can see Salvador Dali's garden and then how that inspired his artworks, and yeah, it's really, really lovely. So two of my favorite artists, my favorite artist is Claire Basler. I love her paintings. She has a chateau in France. I'll link her below, and just everything she does is just so magical. And then also Katie Rogers, I found her off Instagram quite a few years ago. She was called Paper Fashion, and to see her, she created this garden on her terrace in New York, and then she now lives in New Mexico, and she works at farms there, and just these beautiful flowers that she has again in her garden there. And yeah, it's something I really love, and I think that it often intertwines like gardens and art. You can see there like that kind of inspiration of this kind of movement and how everything's blurred and kind of blending. But And also there's just interesting facts in here and things. So one of the first things I was reading was about Leonardo da Vinci, and it's talking about a vineyard that he had, which I didn't know about, and it says restoring Leonardo's vineyard. In 1498, Leonardo's patron, the Duke of Milan, gave the artist a small vineyard close to where he was working on his troublesome masterpiece, The Last Supper, in the convent of Santa Maria del Grazie. Every morning and evening, while walking across the vineyard to and from his work, Leonardo would check on his 16 rows of vines. A year later, when his patron was captured by the French, Leonardo managed to reclaim the lease and subsequently kept the vineyard for the rest of his life. The rectangular vineyard miraculously survived 500 years of development and has been restored and replanted with the original vine stock. The aim is to preserve the historic grape varieties. Anyway, so they're saying that one of them was proved to be the one grown there in the late 15th century. So I think that's really amazing. And it's really nice to see this little kind of courtyard vineyard where he would walk across and how that would inspire him. And then it also says here, the Chateau de Lucci in the town of Amboise was Leonardo da Vinci's final home and the last place he worked. Aged 64 and almost forgotten in his home country of Italy, he was invited to live in the chateau of King Francois I. He brought with him 3 of his most important paintings and worked on his botanical drawings with the intention of creating a herbal, as well as running a workshop for other artists. So again, very interesting to see where their lives took them, and to see these rooms that he was living in, what he was thinking of working on, and to see the workspace there. They kind of have photos of it. And I think as much as these artists were focused on, like it said, humanity, people, and what they were doing, I find it really interesting to look at them and their lives and different aspects of what was inspiring, how they lived, what their process was in relation to their daily life, in relation to kind of how society was at the time and things like that as well. So, and I love the angels through this book too. There's an image I'll show you in a minute, and there's an angel just in the garden, and I feel like that's a really nice, it's kind of towards the end of the book, and I feel like it's just a really nice kind of sentiment that there's just angels pottering around, just looking over us. And so anyway, but you can see just the beautiful, here it is. So I really love that. So you can just see these beautiful connections between what they were looking at and what was inspiring them, and then the paintings that they created from that. So this is book number 6, is it? And it's in Pursuit of Inspiration. This is quite a thin book and very lightweight compared to the others. The others are all quite large books, and they're possibly 9 by 12, and they're quite thick and heavy. This is a very thin little book. I think there's probably 50 pages, but it's just, I find that every time I pick this up, there's something to kind of inspire. She collects things, antique things, just all kinds of really lovely things, and then also the photos, and then the sketches of everyday objects, which I love it. I love the text in here. And so you can see this is a very different style of art. It's more like art journaling, sketchbook kind of art, but I really, really love it. And I think it's so important to have this ability to kind of pick up a sketchbook and just create and just try different things, and document different things. So I really love that. I think every day you could pick it up and just use it as a prompt as well. So This is the second last book, so this is number 7. This is by Molly Hatch, and this is a teacup collection, and I am pretty sure that she went somewhere and asked if she could paint the collection, I think at a museum or something like that. So she was able to create this beautiful book. And I just love the way she's taking these ornate cups or like an ornate thing and bringing it towards you. Like it's not an intricate object behind like a museum glass anymore. It's something you can approach, something you can enjoy. And yeah, I just find it really, really inspiring. I think it's really important to kind of use this kind of idea and work in your sketchbooks. She also makes really stunning porcelain pieces and frames, just really, really beautiful stuff. She's also on Instagram. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, if you want to learn more about painting teacups, Liz Steele has a course. I think she's an amazing teacher, and she does a lot of this kind of sketchbook work as well. So, and just making art approachable. So I really love it. Like you can see like the beautiful garlands and the ornate frames. I really love it. Definitely my cup of tea. And so we have one more book left. And I love how she did the teacups from different angles too. But this is the last book, Textiles Transformed by Mandy Patullo. I have followed her for probably a decade. I really, really love her work. And just she takes these fabrics and she hand stitches them or machine stitches them. She creates just some really, really beautiful things. And one of the things that I've realized is I really love textiles, and I think like even before I was painting, I was stitching and crocheting and creating journals, and so it's something that I want to get back into incorporating into my art. So you'll see actually in a minute I actually did some things that I've been thinking about for quite a while. I did a little bit of that recently. So you can see there she tells you to use the back of embroidered pieces as well. And you can also see how this is like a complete 360 from the books that we were looking at in the beginning. And that's the beauty of art, that you can collect all kinds of inspiration from all kinds of different things. Like I really love textiles. I really love the Impressionism, and maybe there's a way to fuse some of those things. So I think that's the beauty of art, is that there's so many ways to kind of combine things and creatively find opportunities to express and share the things that you really love. So but yeah, you can see like just such a beautiful book. And again, I'm trying to kind of show you books where like every page is just inspiration. Like I can pick up any of these books and just find something that's just really creatively inspiring. So that wraps up the 8 books that we looked at today. So I also really love these. These are annotated versions of Pride and Prejudice and Emma, and they're again like thick, heavy books. But I really love the paintings on the front covers. And yeah, so there will be some more books, like I said, in December hopefully. But I really want to do my favorite watercolors for the year, and then I'm gonna do the gift video for December to start that off. I really love doing that video. It's such a nice video to kind of collect different unusual kind of art things and just creative things. So yeah, I'm excited about those videos. I hope you guys will enjoy them. And yeah, you can see here, so I sent off a few little paintings with some of the orders, and particularly with like the wooden palettes. I included one of these climbing mountains paintings, and then what I've done is I've been thinking about this for quite a while, just white silk petals and stitching those on with silk mohair. And so that is what I have done. It's kind of like these little fairy wings, or just kind of little wings, like on sending the painting off to you. But I kind of held off on it because I wasn't sure, you know, how to frame it and all this kind of stuff. And then I thought I just need to stop overthinking it and just do the one thing. So start somewhere. And yeah, I mean, these could be put in shadow boxes, but they could also just be taped onto the wall like this. So So that's all for today, guys. I will see you hopefully very soon with a couple of really exciting new videos. Bye for now, and have a really lovely week.